So you mentioned the one factory that obviously does the woods sort of, is in charge of taking care of the woods and things.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that we here fell in love with was the story of how you source your woods.
Yeah.
And just the sort of, especially nowadays with things like the rosewood issues and
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
climate issues generally.
Sure.
It's amazing to be able to sell something that actually has
Yeah.
it's a romantic story.
Indeed it is.
And we're talking about timbers. It's romantic as far as
yeah,
timbers
yeah.
are concerned.
Yeah,
but
it could be romantic.
It's a lovely story to be able to pass on to people with a
Yeah.
guitar that they're trying and buying and keeping.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing is, obviously, particularly with acoustic guitars. I mean, as a guitar player before I was in this trade, I'll be completely honest, I didn't know what my guitar was made of wood-wise. I had no idea.
Nor did you care.
And I didn't care. I
Yeah.
just played it, I gigged with it.
Yeah.
But then you kind of get into this thing of whether you're a gearhead and you get into the specs of things, or maybe you just mature as a musician and you start going, you know what, I've never thought about this. Why should I have spruce over cedar, or why should I have mahogany over cedar? Once you kind of discover that, you go on this voyage, which I'm still on. I've been doing this for quite a long time. Of like you start getting excited by timber, and it's like I started out as a guitar player, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm looking at different types of wood and what's it. I mean, you can get lost in that a little bit, and it's important to remember, if you pick a guitar off the hook and it works, cool.
That's that's all you can. It's all you need. Yeah.
Keep it simple. Yeah. The thing that I'm sort of one of the things I guess I'm most proud about with what we do is that we are so into the woods, and we do it carefully. We're eco. We care about our footprint.
Yeah,
sure,
exactly.
It's a natural resource.
Yeah.
Well,
if you've ever looked at Canada on the map, you'll notice, we've got land, we've got trees, and our population is quite small. As a matter of fact, I think statistically, 95% of our population lives within an hour or 100 kilometers, if you like, of the American border.
Right.
So for the most part, our country is lumber, it's just trees, and it's big business for us. Obviously, it's one of our biggest export industries. But as a Canadian company that employs people that we do, the Canadian government, and with just about any other Canadian company that's working with wood, will allow us to have, if you like, first dibs on the wood that we use.
Yeah.
So what actually happens is, and of course, Canada being Canada and not some poor country, we've got a lot of we protect our wood, so they just won't let us go out there and take woods down.
Right.
So what happens is they'll say, here's an area of, let's say 50 kilometers by 50 kilometers. This year we're going to look there, and this is all the woods that have come down, through old age or weather or climate, that sort of thing. We'll go in there, and when I say we, these are Godin employees, so we don't hire out or some jobbers to go out there and select the wood. These are Godin employees whose job it is to go out into this area that the government has told us to go out and check on the wood and say, right, this is good for us, this is what we need, we'll grab it. It's hard to get to, there's no road, so usually what they'll do is, if it's winter, they'll use snowmobiles and literally drag it to the closest road, or four-wheeler, whatever, ATV in the summer. But we'll get it to the closest road, we'll get a truck, come pick it up, and it's literally starting in the forest, like a piece of wood, a downed tree. That's us. That's a Godin employee, Godin out there working with the wood, getting it, to the truck, getting it shipped over to Princeville. It arrives. We start working with the wood. We start the process of drawing it out and cutting it, and and so on and so forth, until we get it to a guitar, until we get it here to A string. So that we always say, Robert's favorite line, which I love, is we're literally a company that goes from the forest to the stage, and we handle every part of it, and that is the essence of the Godin company, because there's no part of that we leave to someone else. Everything is controlled by the Godin family and company. And of course, being a Canadian company, we use Canadian wood, so we've got great cedar, we've got great wild cherry, amazing spruce, maple, yeah. I mean, just about every wood you need to make guitar we have in Canada. Of course, rosewood, and now with the Citus situation, we are actively looking to maybe see what the next phase could be in terms of finding alternatives to rosewood. But we still have to get our rosewood, and we still have to get a little bit of mahogany, and less and less ebony, because we're using rich light a lot in our fingerboards, which is very stable for our climate. But for the most part, all our acoustic guitars and a lot of our electrics and our multi-act lines are Canadian woods, and that's just something that works out well for us.
Just to explain very, very quickly, for people who are watching who are not too sure of the CITES issues, just if you could just explain very, very quickly what the rosewood issue is and how maybe it affects you.
Sure, and this has been a major deal in the musical instrument business. So what happened is about a year and a half ago, you know, a lot of the environmental groups within in the world had noticed that a lot of the rosewood was being I mean, you know, they're basically trying to save the rosewood from being illegally extracted and used, harvested and stuff like that. So to protect it, which is actually quite noble, they've made it so you need to explain exactly what kind of rosewood, where it's coming from. So every guitar, every instrument that's made from any company around the world needs to be certified. And although it's quite noble and it's quite cool to do that, it does require a lot of paperwork and delays. And so different companies have tried to either do away with the rosewood they use or just change the type of wood. But in our case, we have wood typically of 2 to 5 years for every guitar because, you know, you just never know what's going to happen.
And the thing is with that is it might even come to a stage, without going into it too much, but to sort of give you, carry on from what Franco was saying, is that mahogany is actually on that same list, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when mahogany becomes a guitar, it comes off.
Yeah.
So it's an endangered species, but when they make it into a guitar, they take it off of that list. So there's another summit, I think, in 2 years. I think.
2019 actually.
Yeah, 2019. So we can't say anything. We're not there.
Yeah.
No.
We hope.
We hope
that maybe they get a petition to say, look, okay, let's get it.
Yeah.
You know, because we support the idea.
Yeah,
you know,
of course,
it's but it was kind of. I hope I'm going to be sort of out of place saying this, but sort of heard through several sources. The guys they tried their best to put the CITES thing together.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of ended up being quite quick and quite kind of
Right.
It's Friday. We've got to get this thing drawn up.
Right.
You know, so the kind of and they have admitted quite openly that they didn't think about the guitar community really, and they've put their hands up and kind of said, you know, so it's not necessarily forever. Just to be clear, it's not necessarily a permanent thing.
It initially, just to say one last thing on it, initially I think it was intended for any wood product, and when you think about furniture and you know, pieces, you know, anything that uses a vast amount of rosewood, it definitely makes sense. But when you look at the small amount of rosewood on a guitar, it's not, you know, it's not really a big concern. So I think, like James alluded to, they just didn't consider what impact it would have on the music industry. But you know, we work with it, and we still export to all the countries that we do. It just requires a lot more admin. Yeah. But of course, the design team that we have in place is always looking at bettering our guitars, regardless of CITES or regardless of rosewood.
Yeah.
If we can make a better guitar, if we can make a better sounding guitar, a longer lasting guitar, we'll work on it. Yeah. Now, if we can do that and not use rosewood, well, that's something to consider, and definitely we've got some things in play already. So
yeah.